Katie, how would you like to play 3-Question Thursday?
Yes, please. Let's give
All
it a go. Does
Okay.
everybody have another hour? Because I do have to talk. Oh, we can go shorter.
Just at the end, the tail end of what we were talking about, you said sometimes you have to fake it till you make it. It reminded me about mantras.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a favorite mantra?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So mine has developed over time. It's gotten a little lengthy. But when I'm at my highest self and I'm really, locked in on bright line eating, I will sit down in front of my food. I don't eat in the car anymore. I almost never eat in the car unless I really have to. And I don't eat on the go and I don't eat at my desk, but I sit down at my table after I've made my easy food and I take a couple deep breaths and I center myself and I say, I'm grateful for this food. I trust it will nourish and sustain me until my next meal. I'm so thankful for bright line eating, and I'm so proud of my commitment to it. I accept this bountiful and beautiful way of life as my way of life, and I will not push the limits. I have come too far to go back now.
Wow, I love that.
And I started as the first piece about my commitment to it. That was where it ended. And then Emily August, who's a fabulous bright lifer, she had this part about the bountiful and beautiful food and your way of life. And I thought I like that too. So yeah.
Well, that's going to go in the Starting Out Bright group for sure.
Okay.
That's fantastic. You mentioned about a horrible detox, at least on the sugar-free pop. I think that was probably the connection. Maybe that's caffeine too.
Yeah.
In there.
Yeah.
Now looking back, how has that detox served you? Do you ever look back and think, well, I don't want to do that again? Or what do you think?
Those first couple of weeks when when you really are kind of white knuckling it, you really have to get through those first 3 to 4 weeks. I think it just feels like you're learning so much and it's all very different, and different can be wonderful, but different usually is challenging, at least for me. I would think back on that night that I woke up at about 4 a.m. My kids were all still on winter break. I had no reason to be awake. And I felt like I'd been hit by a truck. I thought I had another terrible, it was like the worst case of body aches from influenza that I'd ever felt. And I would think back to that and I would think 2 things. One is, I don't want to go through that ever again. I do not want to feel like that based on something I've done to myself. And 2, if I felt that miserable when it was coming out of my system, what was I feeling along the way that I just ignored? And I talked about this, like how many years did I ignore the signals that now I feel immediately if something sneaks into a sauce that I thought was compliant, or something sneaks in when I go out to eat and it's like, oh, I didn't realize that had something in it. And it's like, my body was telling me these things for years and I just ignored it. And so that detox, I was really for a long time able to physically tap into that memory, that muscle memory of just how bad that felt. So that really did serve me really well. And I think that's where journaling, I actually did write about that in my 5-year journal at the time. I think for people who journal, I think you have to write down the good and the bad. I think that kind of bad can really be a touch point that you reach back to when you're feeling a little challenged.
And I want to say about the journaling, because I had said earlier, I wasn't journaling like, everyday journaling.
Yeah.
Well, recently I got a buddy just to make myself write in the 5-year journal because, well, I say recently, it was last year, but now I'm seeing the fruits of my labor because now I have something to look at. From last year, and I love it. Just love it.
Yeah.
So I definitely would encourage people to journal, but the 4 bright lines is the primary thing that's, we really have to worry about. Okay. Well, one thing I don't think we talked about tonight, but we did the other day, and that was you brought a memory up about sneaky eating.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and you said something about, you'll feel that come up if you're home alone, those kind of things. How do you deal with that? How do you take steps to avoid, what could happen in sneaky eating?
So some of that is just a lot more mindfulness, and that has come about just even in the past couple weeks. And I didn't share this earlier, but my older daughter left for college mid-September. And so that's been a real adjustment in our lives. We're a very tight-knit family, as I think most of us are. And so her being gone has been a big change. And of course, we're so happy that she's loving college and she's off where she's supposed to be. But it's like, wait a second. So I really let myself, be sad. And I was, there were times where I was having those sneaky eating thoughts, and along with the sad and maybe, all the different things was doing the between meals eating. And that was, it didn't feel very good, and certainly wasn't how I want to follow my lines. And so even in the past, you and I talking the other night really helped me realize of like, okay, well, some of that comes from, and my sister and I have talked about this too, but when we were kids, my mom was a teacher and my dad was a self-employed carpenter. But the rule was you could not eat when there wasn't an adult in the house, because my dad used to eat really fast and he would choke. And there was a time where he felt like he was very close to death. And my grandma, in his mind, saved his life by whacking him on the back. So his thought was, if nobody's home to do that, my kids are going to die if they eat. Oh. So instead of following the rule, we would eat like fast and sneaky. And then you get all this that energy coming at you. So when my family's gone, when my younger daughter's at school and my husband's at work or out of town, like he's been since last night because he travels for work a lot, it's like, oh, I can eat. Nobody will know. It's like, well, and does anybody care anyway? Like these people don't care.
And that's the integrity.
Right. But I mean, like, who am I sneaking it from?
Right.
It's like my dad used to care, and it really was like a rule that if he caught us, it was a stern talking to of like, I told you guys not to do that. It's because I care about you, whatever. So you felt like you got away with something. For this, my family doesn't care what I eat and don't eat. They really don't. They just want me to feel good and be happy and healthy. And so it's like, who am I sneaking? How am I, what am I getting away with? And so talking that out with you is like, oh yeah, what am I getting away with? Nothing. I'm a grown woman. I can eat whatever I choose to eat.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's helped me. And I don't do very well with the emergency action plan. I have one in my phone and my notes, but it's not a habit stack that I'm fully, and again, I'm a toddler. I'm just a little kid in all this. And
yeah,
so
you're only
that's something
4 years in.
I'm only 4. I'm not even 4. And so maybe by the time I'm almost 5, I'll have a better emergency action plan, but we'll work that tomorrow.
Okay. What a great time. Yeah. Thank you again so much for sharing your story. And thank you for playing 3 Question Thursday. Yes. It was a blast.
Yes. I saw somebody ask about writing that down. Should I write that in the chat, or what should I do?
The mantra prayer type thing? Yeah. I will have it on the slideshow. So when this goes to YouTube, it'll have it, but I'll also put it in the Starting Out Bright group. That's just great.
Okay.
It's wonderful.
Thank you all.
Anyway, thank you so much. Thanks. Stay bright. Good night.
Thanks so much, Noreen.